Let's talk about dadness. Those things that people assume about fatherhood that just aren't true. In our last episode of the podcast, we broke down some of the biggest myths about being a dad. So let's get into it. So some myths that are trending on the internet. The first one is dads are just backup parents.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. So any dads listening to this now or in the future when we post it, it takes two.
Mm-hmm.
It took two to make the baby, and it's going to take two to raise the baby. A lot of times, women shoulder the responsibility, and men are like, "Well, I'm the provider."
Mm-hmm.
So let's just put this in perspective. Okay. If both you and your spouse got a job, who's still holding the mental load? Because I can almost guarantee, and this is not every case, there's people out there that more of the dad holds the mental load than the mom. But it usually falls on the shoulders of mom to do. But both had a job. Who's then, figuring out things for the kids, figuring out their schedule, making sure they have lunches for school, making sure they're like taken care of, making sure the laundry's done, making sure the dishes are done, making sure the house is clean. Like who's thinking about all of these things? So yes, being a provider is important. I'm not saying that we wouldn't have a roof over our heads if like I wasn't bringing in some kind of income because, my wife stays at home with the kids, but I'm not going to fool myself that she doesn't also have a full-time job, that she rarely gets a break from, that she does, throughout the day hold a huge part of that mental load. And then I come in and then we're meant to complement each other. And sometimes she goes upstairs and takes a break and I take care of the kids while she gets that mental break. Responsibilities, and I learned this later after we had kids. Our kids are now 4 and 2. And
oh, you have twins. I was like, you have 3 kids.
Anyways, and there will be a third one. They're both 2. Yeah. So if you didn't know I had twins, I have twins that are 2 years old. So we got Nate the Great. I've kind of made nicknames for them. So Nate the Great, Elijah the Magnificent, and Rylan the Conqueror. Sometimes I talk to my daughter and I'm like, baby girl, I see you, okay? You're riding in on a unicorn, but don't let that fool people, because what you do is you chop the heads off of your enemies.
Oh my gosh.
I said, they think they're going to mess with you, but you're Rylan the Conqueror. Anyways,
my bad. I killed the moment.
Yeah. It's good. No, it's good. But I'll let Alec.
Yeah. So listen,
I think
my house is very different from, not very different. We live in a very modern day house. I stay home. I hang out with the kids. My wife works. Well, we've been asked very specifically by my wife not to talk about where she works, but she works. Sometimes it's 2 hours away from our house. And so I'm here and I'm going to stay home. I'll do everything I can at home to try and make money. And I'll hold down the fort while she holds down the money. And we've had that conversation, like, is this okay? And she's like, I am cool taking on that load as long as you're taking on the stuff at home. And like DJ said, we complement each other. Like one handles the other. So like parenting is not, oh, mom. No, parenting is double. Not a plug at any of the single moms out there. You are awesome. You're killing it. Single dads too. Like you, both parents. Like if you're a single parent, you're killing it. But no, dads are not backup parents. That's such bull crap. Myth number 2: dads don't have the same emotional bond with their kids as their moms do.
Okay, so I will share my story on this because I thought this to be true initially. So, you see on TV or whatever, you hear about other dads. They're like, oh my gosh, there was an immediate connection with my kid the moment they were born. I did not have that experience. I actually felt a huge disconnect, and we've talked about it. We won't go into too much of my story of, discovering ADHD, and through that was a ton of depression. But I didn't feel that immediate connection with my kids. And like one thing to consider is perspective is everything. What you think is a connection, and moms will naturally have a connection. They're growing the baby inside of them. Also, you need to consider a lot of moms go through postpartum depression, and that disconnect is very real. So where you feel like they're connecting and it just mama bear kicking in, like she's got a cub, and like it's almost like pushing past the crap that she's going through, whether it's healthy or not healthy. She's like, I got to be here for this kid. And so, yeah. But I will say that since that point, I have, there's just such a connection between me and my kids. I cannot express what this joy and this love and this compassion and this, it is, it just wells up inside me. Like, I'm so happy to have them in my life, and this connection is unreal. So that's a myth. You have your connection. If you want the connection, you'll have it.
Yeah. I feel like it's even further like that. Like, I feel like there's a different connection between sons and daughters as well. Like, I look at my daughter sometimes, like, if anybody touches that girl, I will rip their head. I will destroy the person that touches my daughter. And then I look at my son sometimes, I'm like, what is going through your brain right now? But it's boy versus girl too. Like, no. That connection is real. Like, I was so excited to have my son. Like, our son's firstborn. I was so excited. Not that it's emotional, but it was like, I was super excited. All right. Myth number 3. Dads have to be the tough parent. I don't know, because I there's been times where I'm like, listen, I'm going to talk to your mom when she gets home. And they're like, no. So
I can't, no, I don't know if I agree with the
tough parent thing.
I feel like dads are often looked at as the fun parent.
Yeah.
And not looked at as somebody who takes things serious. I think that's more of a myth now, is like, well, dad just wants to have fun all the time, and he never takes things serious, or, mom has to, do the tough conversations. And in our house, I do like to have fun. I'm not going to lie. I feel like a kid at heart almost all the time. So I want to wrestle with all my kids. I want to, but we definitely both do have those tough conversations with our kids. And if you're finding that one parent is doing it over the other, look, as much as having fun and being lighthearted, I agree with it. But kids also need to learn about consequences, and about, that you can't just do whatever you want all the time. And so you're going to have those tough conversations. I know it's not easy, because it kind of breaks your heart to see your kid upset that you're you tell them hey, that wasn't cool, and they start crying, and you're like, oh, but I mean, it's okay. You kind of want to but just stick it out, because your kids will grow to appreciate you for teaching them life lessons along the way, instead of just making it magical, and then they get to the real world and it's not that magical.
Well, the issue too is
for things.
If there's one parent that takes on that role, it can cause a disconnect between parents too, because they're not going to go to that parent for anything. They're going to always go to, say, mom is the nice parent. They're going to go to mom, and mom would be like, or dads would be like, I already said no to that crap. So you got to have a balance. I don't feel like that should go, like you said, both parents should have some form of I'm a discipliner too. So
Speaking of going to another parent, I just thought about this. So last night, I had my oldest come up to me, right? And he's like, "Hey, Dad, can we play with the swing?" And they were all being wild. We have a sensory swing in their room.
the heck is a sensory swing?
Look it up. But it helps kids with like ADHD and kids who are on autism spectrum. Helps them relax, so they can just like lay in it and they like swing. It's connected to the roof and stuff. So, anyways, or the ceiling, not the roof. That would be weird. It's to the roof.
It's outside.
The ceiling. It's outside. It's off the second story window. No big deal. They can just slide into it. Anyways, he was asking me to use it, and they're being wild already. So I had a feeling if one of them used it, then the other one won't. There'll be a big fight, or they'll run into each other, and yeah, it would just become too chaotic. So I was like, at this time, no. Well, I didn't know that he asked my wife, who said it's up to your dad. So he goes to me and asks me, and I said no. He goes to my wife, and well, what did Dad say? He said yes. Okay, then go. So they went to my dad, who was over.
Oh gosh.
And he's like, I heard him. I was downstairs, and I thought my wife just said yes, so I wanted to confirm. Another thing, before you talk to your kids, make sure they didn't talk to the other one first, because you go to them and you get upset with them. If mom said yes without knowing that you said no, you can't really get upset with the kid, right? I mean, you can, because they took what you said and threw out the window. You also always want to be on the same page with your spouse. I would always recommend going to the person first before going in. So I asked my wife, and she's like, well, he said that you said yes. So that's why he was given the okay to do it. So I go in there, pull him out, pull him downstairs, like, buddy, you can't lie. Like, that's not cool. And it just, I was just thinking about how kids, like, they're sneaky. They like to go talk to the other. And so, yeah, I just thought about that story and it was random. Just wanted to share.
And it went with it. All right, number 4. Real dads don't cry, which is bullcrap because DJ just cried in this episode a little bit ago. I cry. I don't cry all the time, but I do cry. We'll talk about that text in the next episode. I forgot. I got a text from someone this week, and there was a interesting text in my life, but we'll talk about that in the next episode. But yeah, no, dads cry. And if you're one of those dads like, oh, I'm so tough, I don't cry. Don't just see these are dried up and blah blah. No. Real dads are in connection with their emotions.
Yep, and I would say to the man who is, well, I don't cry. I would look that person in the eye and say, are you okay? Like what? Well, let's just say your name is Jim. What did little Jim, like, what happened to little Jim to say my emotions are not okay to have? Who told you that you didn't have permission to feel? I'd venture that you're going to go to that place and it's going to hurt a lot because you feel like I can even just feel emotion just talking about, like, because my heart, it breaks for people who were never allowed to be kids, never allowed to feel emotion, because then you get to this adult life and you think that, like, you don't care. There's a part of you that doesn't matter. And that's not the case at all. You do matter. Every single part of you matters. And you need to figure that out for yourself. You need to go on a discovery and say, oh, this emotion, I don't like it. I don't like how it feels, but it's a part of me. And so I want to lean into it. And this is how you're going to get to be the healthiest version of yourself and be the best version for your kids and your significant other if you have one. So
we've talked about in the past where it's like, the best version of yourself is, listen, I know I can't say much because I'm a heavy set man, but the best version of yourself is physically, mentally, spiritually healthy. Yep. All right. So the next one, and this one, is it a myth? You'll never sleep again. I mean, I slept fine last night. Well, I slept on a cot, but I slept fine last night.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. I actually had this conversation just recently at my church home group. Anyways, I had a dad over there, and he was like, "Oh, I can't wait until, my kid is able to tie his shoe or something." And I stopped him for a second. I was like, just think about it for a second. There might be a moment that comes in your life 5 years down the road. Let's say it's 5 years, where you're going to say, dang it, I miss tying their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Look, there's going to be a period of time where you're not getting a ton of sleep. It's just facts. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to probably think, what's the point of this life? You kind of go through, there is scientific proof that you can you can feel bouts of depression or you're not getting enough rest. So there is a possibility like, man, I feel like there's no oomph in life. In those moments where it's tough to do so, I just want you to stop, cherish the little baby that's in front of you, hug them, hold them tight, because you blink and they're the 4, almost 5-year-old, and they're independent and they still like to play with you, but then there's times where they like push you away because they're doing things and you don't get as much time with them.
Mm.
And it's not about like picking up a baby and no, so every stage of life that you go through, regardless of the lack of sleep or whatever, just cherish moments. Like you're going to say, I wish, or I can't wait till they're out of the diaper phase. Well, then you're going to miss having those moments where, you were changing their diaper and you had a funny moment.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't share those same moments anymore. And I don't know. I'm constantly reminiscing and like, man, I need to be more present because I miss moments and I feel like I haven't soaked in enough of it. So that's my mission this year, is to soak in moments.
So DJ's missing is to not sleep this year.
Oh, I embrace it,
You embrace it. You guys should see DJ when he goes, oh, I need to focus.
Oh, whoa.
Hold on.
Hold on. Whoa. Get back in focus. Whoa. Trippy, man.
That was weird. But no, yeah, when they're young, there is a lot of lack of sleep because they're babies. But no, you'll sleep. You're going to be very tired, but you'll sleep. But no, I like that. You're going to be focusing on more moments this year. Number 6. Well, I think we just really covered this one with one of the other ones. Once you're a dad, you stop having fun. I think you get more fun, honestly, because you find ways you can be a kid again. Like me and my son, like we hang out, we play video games, we watch old like 80s and 90s movies. We go, like he's getting into soccer, so we've been going to the park every Monday and practicing soccer. Like we do stuff. Like I feel like I do more as a dad than I would if I wasn't.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like you feel, even though you don't need this. So anybody listening that is like doesn't have kids, you can be just as fun and be just kid-like.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you get like a hall pass. You get to be a kid because you're playing with your kid.
Mm-hmm.
So people kind of like just like, he's playing with his kid. When in reality, what was going through your head this entire time before you had kids is, I really want to go to a park and slide down the slide. But it would be creepy if I'm just some random dude sliding down a slide with a bunch of kids around me.
You know what
I don't
my
have
thing
any kids of my own.
is I use my kids as excuses. So this is my son's Boba Fett. This is my battle. And we have battles because I wanted an action figure. I had to get Micah one. So no, I think we have fun, Dad's,
Definitely,
you have to have
definitely.
fun as dad. You can't just, everything can't be taken too seriously. You have to come
Come
into
on,
parenting
man.
with.
Come on. Let's be real. Like, I don't know who said this is like ain't nobody gonna change a man. Okay. Alec and I still laugh at dumb jokes, and our wives constantly question our maturity.
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna stop having fun.
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna stop being that immature little kid. You're just immature little kid with your kids.
Yep.
You just have those conversations with your kids. Oh, man.
It brings you back in touch with your inner child. It's pretty fun. All right. Number 7, good dads always know what to do. I think we talked about this also. Like, no, you're not going to know anything. It's a learning experience. And I feel like
Buckle up, Buttercup.
it gets real bad real quick when you think you're going to go and like, oh, I know how to do this. No, you don't. 100% you don't.
Nope.
No.
You go learn.
It's not like you become a dad and then instantly your brain unlocks. You're like, oh, what's that meme in from The Hangover where he's like, he's seeing all the numbers, or the mind explosion meme where he's like, yeah, no, you're not. That doesn't happen. That was a quick one. Number 8. This is the last one. Being a dad means giving up on your dreams.
Ooh.
All right.
Being a dad. Oh, this is good. Being a dad, you don't give up on your dreams. You just repurpose your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it may not look. See, this is the thing. People get in their dreams and they say it's got to look this way. Like it's so black and white. But the thing is, there's a lot of gray. And there's different ways to do things. And it may not look exactly how you thought it was going to look. But like, I can say that my dreams are still very much so real. I just now have to, it's going to look different with kids in the picture. Mm-hmm. Like as I said, it's something your dreams die. It's just that you have to repurpose them. Mm-hmm. You have to get creative with them. But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it's like when you're designing, like I went to school for architecture and stuff. The design phase looks completely different than the result. So you're all this stuff you want and you think and they think like, oh yeah, this is it. This is not it. You're going to go through changes. You're going to go through this and this. And there's also a quote. It says like, I freaking had it too. It's gone, whatever. But yeah, it's like you're in that design phase where you're dreaming. You got, oh, I want $1 million. I want a house. I want this. And then you get to it and you're finally living it. And you don't think it looks, you're like, oh no, it doesn't look like that. But no, you're living what you're dreaming of. And you can still have crazy dreams. Like me and DJ, we want to live off of the internet. We want to be content creators full time. Like we are content creators full time. Technically, it's not bringing a lot in, but like we are, and what's what we're doing. It's part of the dream. Yeah. What are you say?
Great question. No, I trying to think. Oh, here is what a lot of people I feel like do. Mm-hmm. You have kids. You realize it's going to be a lot of work to still pursue the dreams that you had in your head, because you have to repurpose. You have to get creative. It doesn't look exactly the same. It may not even be as simple as it once seemed. Like, oh, I do this, this, and this. Well, now you're jumping over hurdles and you're having to balance their life, your life, your spouse's life. Like it's just a lot of moving parts that you have to align, almost like the stars have to align. So a lot of people do, and where I think this myth comes from is they give up. Give up on their dreams. They go to a dead-end job. It pays the bills. So maybe this is it for me. This is life. Here's what I'm going to say. Do not do that, because what you tell your kids is that it's okay to give up on your dreams. It's okay to not pursue what you want in life because you have a family or because, no, show them that like dad isn't going to work freaking hard. And, it's a whole quote, like I'll shoot for the moon. I'll land among the stars if I don't hit the moon, but just go after life with intensity and like, I'm going to live the way that I want to live. It's just going to look different. You have kids that you have to care for too. So you're not taking like these major risks, but it's like, don't live a life that is not full of life. Like, be passionate and find things that you want to do and pursue that, because otherwise you can tell your kids all you want to pursue their dreams, but they saw you give up on yours. Yeah. And they're not going to pursue theirs.
And look, as dads, we're like, well, if I do that, then I'm losing time with my kids. Oh, you're freaking out. We've talked to multiple millionaire parents on this podcast, and they're like, my kid's right here with me. Sean Whalen, he takes his kids to like speaking in front of hundreds of thousands of people. Simon Squibb, his son's right there with them, going to sightings and take your freaking kids with you and show, like DJ's saying, show them how to achieve that dream, because that's just going to make their life better. And in the end, they're going to go achieve their dreams. And that's how you show your kids that it's possible. So it's like, take it with you, include your kids. What? You showed your Pac-Man?
Yeah. No, I was like, this gets me pumped up.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
The proof is in the pudding,
I want to get right in the trenches with you and tell you to go. Yeah. So, come on. I want to get you pumped up this morning. Well, and whatever you're listening to this, but like, just know that like your example lies within your actions and not your words. And so what you're saying versus what you're doing, like, make sure they're lining up. Make sure that you're living by your values every single day, so that your kids know that like dad gave life everything he had, because then they're going to give life everything they have. And if you want to truly make a difference in this world, it starts at home. And, I've always talked about for myself, I want to impact what I do. I want to have such an impact in this world that it echoes for generations. And I think that is a very possible, real thing for me to do, especially if I start with my own family. I have kids that may eventually have kids. So if I break generational curses, if I become the best version of me, then I teach them how to do that same thing. Well, then they're going to teach their kids, and their kids are going to teach their kids. And I started a whole other cycle of people who want to win in life, people who want to be successful, people who want to just live healthy, whole life. And yeah, I'm just saying, our generation is realizing that it's us. Like, we can make the change. We can do, set our kids up for so much and let them stand on our shoulders and not pull them back. But just be that foundation that they stand upon. Yeah. I'm a little passionate about this, but